second gen Camaro. Today in this video, I'm now to the next part of the Gen 2 Camaro video, which is the 1974 and 1975 model. And so yeah, and before I start, actually, I was doing this video just now, and I accidentally ended it, and I forgot to talk about the 1975 version. But hopefully, I will do that, which I will obviously. And so, so yeah, sorry. So I made horrible mistakes, so I apologize. But anyway, oh. Yeah, silly me. Anyways, guys. So before I get started, make sure you all like the video. Subscribe, comment down below what you guys think. Hit the notification bell, and hit the notification bell, and hit all so you don't want to make brand new uploads. Alright, so without any further ado, let's begin. So, 1974, here we go. So, the 74 Camaro, which I believe was used in the 2007 film Transformers. Not too sure, but early mid 70s it was. Say the 74 Camaro. Say the 74. Say the 74. 70. Say the 74 Camaro. Grew 7 inches. Say the 74 Camaro. 74 Camaro grew 7 inches longer thanks to new bumpers required to meet federal standards. So it's both that and a forward sloping grill. Round taillights were replaced with a rectangular wraparound design. So with a rectangular wraparound design. It was the last year. Excuse me. It was the last year to have a flat rear window with thick roof pillars. All later years had slimmer roof pillars. And a wraparound rear window. And a wraparound rear window for better visibility. This was the last year of the RPO Z28, which shared the same drivetrain, both drivetrain and engine, as in the previous year from 1973, based on the Corvette L82 special high performance engine. The Z28 would re-emerge in 1977 as its own model and no longer available. So no longer an RPO. Camaro sales. Camaro sales increased to over 150,000 units, of which 13,802 were Z28s, the highest Gen 2 Z28 production to this time, despite the energy crisis fueled by the AOE Arab oil embargo. 2 body car competitors were repositioned in the marketplace this year. Ford downsized the Mustang to an all-new 1974 Gen 2 Mustang 2 subcompact based on a Ford Pinto that was designed for an era of both high gas prices and fuel shortages, resulting in 380 first made it, they put the gas tank above the rear axle, and when it gets hit hard on the rear, like in a head-on collision, it just literally ignites into a ball of flames. In other words, when you get rear-ended, the rear gas tank just explodes, and it starts to catch fire. Which was a bad idea in the first place. Anyways, Mercury upsized the Cougar. Let's say the Cougar to an intermediate sized, personal luxury car to compete with the Chevy. So with the Chevy Monte Carlo, as opposed to Chevy Monte Carlo and the Pontiac Grand Prix. Other changes included Chrysler Corporation discontinuing both the Plymouth Barracuda and Plymouth Barracuda and Dodge Challenger. So Plymouth Barracuda and Dodge Challenger. Say Plymouth Barracuda and Dodge Challenger during the course of the 1974 model year. Likewise, 1974 was the final year of the 1974 was the final year of the AMC Javelin, but a sporty AMX model, would be reintroduced. But a sporty AMX model would be reintroduced in 1978. Next up is 1975. Jesus, there's a lot more than that. Anyways, let's do it. For 1975, a catalytic converter was added to the exhaust system of all U.S. market GM passenger cars. Including the Camaro, the AIR or air injection reactor. So air injection reactor, secondary air injection. So secondary air injection system was still present. So secondary air injection system was still present. In other words, it was still available. The catalytic emission control system. The catalytic emission control system or catalytic converter was more efficient at reducing emissions than the previous non-catalytic system and allowed engines. allowed engines to be retuned. For both improved drivability. So improved drivability and fuel economy. Both the catalytic converter and GM high energy electronic ignition. So electronic ignition system were advertised among the components of Chevy's new efficient system, or ES for short, which was promoted to offer other benefits to owners of 1975 models versus comparable 1974 models. So owners cars of 1975 models versus comparable 1974 models that included extended maintenance uh, extended maintenance intervals from 6 to 7,500 miles. So say 6 to 7,500 miles for oil and filter. So for both oil, so for both oil and oil and filter changes and spark plugs that lasted up to a whopping 22,500 miles. It's like 36,000, so 22,500 miles compared to just 10, compared to just, compared to just, compared to just, compared to just 10,000 miles on 19, compared to just, compared to just 10, compared to just 10,000 miles. So compared to just 10,000 miles on 1974 models. So like over like a year, they improved like the oil filter changes and like the ignition system for like the spark plugs. Because we changed that, like the mileage would be like lasted longer. So yeah, so lasted up to 22,500 miles. So that's 22,500 miles compared to 10,000 miles on 1974 models. That's an extra 12,500 miles, 12,500 miles for 1975 than 1974 had. So that compares to 10,000 miles on 1974 models. So on 1974 models, the Z28 option was discontinued for 1975, despite an increase in sales to over 13,000 units in 1974. So in 1974, optional engines continued to reflect the impact of emissions to 5.7 liter 350 CIDP8s produced 145 horsepower, kind of the same as Brian's Eclipse from the first Fast and Furious movie. So right around 145 horsepower. And say 145 and 155 horsepower, and horsepower losses can seem a bit exaggerated. Compared to earlier cars, however, their power ratings were now nets as opposed to the prior gross ratings. So SAE net power ratings used. So SAE net power ratings used since 1972 were taken from the engine crankshaft as before, but now all accessories had to be both attached and operating. So both that and both all emissions equipment and a full production exhaust system had to be in place. These power robbing conditions, along with stringent new emissions, both emissions laws and the equipment they required were instrumental in creating the vastly smaller power figures found in subsequent cars. The manufacturers themselves also sometimes Also sometimes internationally internationally underrated engines for a variety of motives. For a variety of motives. Notably, notably avoiding, provoking the and insurance companies and federal regulators into enacting undesirable policies, but also sometimes to prevent lower priced models from stacking up too well on paper against their own model or their own more profitable high-end products. A new wraparound rear window was introduced for 1975. Say for 1975, and the Camaro and the Camaro and the Camaro emblem moves and the Camaro emblem moved from the center of the grille. So the Camaro emblem moved from the center of the grille to above the grille work, and the Camaro nameplate was deleted from the rear deck lid. Also new block letter Camaro. So Camaro nameplates replaced the previous scripts on the front fenders. Interiors were revised. Slightly with new both seats trim patterns and bird's eye maple trim, replacing the meridian grained meridian grained walnut on each red panel of LT models. Announced for this year was the availability of a leather interior option in the Camaro LT, but never saw the light of day as no production cars as no production cars as no production cars as no production cars were equipped with real height seats. Other developments included the availability of air condition air conditioning with inline sixes. So with inline sixes and standard radial tires on all models. Power door locks were a new option for 1975. The RS option returned after a 1 year absence, but amounted to little more than just an appearance pack. The RS option returned. The RS option returned. the RS option returned after a 1 year absence, but amounted to little more than an appearance back, despite the loss of the Z28 Camaro sales. Despite the loss of the Z28 Camaro sales, remained steady for 1975 at 145,770 units, with the demise, like the passing of the other body cars the previous year. Camaro and Pontiac's Firebird were now traditional pony cars. So the only traditional pony cars left on the market, giving GM 100% penetration. So penetration of this segment for the first time ever. Also, despite GM's policy against factory-sponsored racing efforts, Camaro Camaro began to make a new so Camaro began to make a name for itself on the track. So on the track, on a new international international race of champions. So IROC, series with many top drivers winning trophies from behind the wheel of a Camaro year after year until the late 1980s. So until the late 80s. Alright, so that'll be it for now. So for my next Gen 2 Camaro video will be about both the 1976 and 1977 versions. Sounds gonna be pretty cool. Alright, so that'll be it. If you guys like this video, like and subscribe, comment down below. Comment down below what you guys think. Hit the notification bell and hit all so you'll know to make brand new uploads. Alright, so that'll be it. I'll see you guys soon. In the next video. For the next part, which is 1976. So I'll see you guys soon in the next video. But until then, stay safe, have a great morning, and also have a great day. And I'll see you guys soon in the next video. So take care, folks. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you guys soon.